The film starts with Kincaid, who's giving an interview in which he explains the future of his gaming company Sentinel. He is a titan in the industry and plans to revolutionize the world of gaming with his new product. He also believes that guns should be banned and that violence should be contained inside video games where people can do whatever they want. Sitting in his living room, Kincaid watches the interview while drinking. But he's not the only one watching because his chief security officer Creed is also glued to the screen. In the interview, Kincaid explains that Creed wanted the company to make military technology, and that's the reason for the bad blood between the two of them. But Creed doesn't agree with his narrative. He's getting angry, but his wife Abby reminds him that they need to leave if they want to catch their flight. So while Kincaid makes it clear that Creed won't be hurting his company anymore, some armed men enter Creed's house and take Abby hostage. Creed tries to fight back, but they just knock him out. The next morning, Max receives a parcel from the mailman. He's a beta tester who checks the games for Sentinel to ensure they are of premium quality. Kincaid has sent a brand new game for him to test, and as he's getting ready to play it, he receives a call from Rachel, who is the tech support at Sentinel. Max has a big crush on her, and his flirting makes her laugh. While he's busy getting some pizza before he starts playing, the armed men are trying to install some kind of chip in Creed's neck. After they're done, they leave him behind but take Rachel with them. Around the same time, Max finally presses start and the game begins in Creed's room. He doesn't know it, but he is controlling Creed through that chip. Max moves him around the room and quickly finds out that the character looks exactly like his colleague, but he doesn't think much of it. Instead, he takes Creed downstairs where he finds some blood on the walls. He's looking around the house when he spots a phone taped to the cabinet. He grabs it and watches a video message alongside Creed in which a guy named Zane tells them that they need to complete some tasks if they want to save Abby. Their first task is extracting the contents of a safety deposit box from a bank that's about to be robbed. And they only have 90 minutes to complete this task if they want Abby in one piece. While this message is extremely disturbing for Creed, Max doesn't care much, and he just brings Creed out of the house and makes him sit inside his car. He's still learning the controls, so he's driving the car recklessly and even tries to run over some civilians, but Rachel tells him to be careful because he cannot hurt anyone if he wants to complete the mission. She's trying to keep him on track as he drives to the bank. After getting there, he forces Creed to walk inside the bank from the front door, but he has to stop because he can see a gunman right in front of him. He knows he has to be stealthy to complete the mission, so he exits the building and walks around the block to look for another entrance. He's in luck because a window is open and he uses it to enter the bank. He makes Creed crawl on the floor pretending to be just another hostage as he goes up to the manager to find the key for the safety deposit box. The manager is confused by the way Creed is speaking, but she knows who he is, so she tells him where the key is. Max moves Creed around to grab the key and then makes him run straight to the safety deposit box room. But just as he starts looking for box 1121, the chip starts losing signal, and for a brief moment Creed is able to move on his own. The signal returns after a few seconds and Max takes Creed outside to see the cause of the commotion. There he watches as a bank officer gets shot by the robbers. He realizes he doesn't have much time, so he quickly grabs the safety deposit box. But after opening it, he finds a gun with a note that orders him to eliminate all the robbers and leave with the money. Max thinks it's just another mission, but Rachel asks him to be careful and not hurt any civilians. He's starting to get annoyed by her instructions, but he still follows them and lures the robbers toward his hiding spot. He then sneaks up behind one of them and slices his throat before stabbing another one in the head. He's having a lot of fun and even tries to snipe another robber, but that's when he starts receiving some fire. He quickly assassinates a third robber before hiding behind a table. When the last guy tries to finish him off, he shoots him in the head to complete his mission. He then quickly grabs the bags and drives away before the police get there. He stops the car a couple blocks away and decides to take a break. This is when he hears the news where the bank manager is explaining how Creed took out all the robbers and left with a bag full of $2 million. The reality of his situation finally sinks in, and Max quickly tries to call 911 to explain everything. But to his complete horror, the operator tells him to sit down and play the game. He's mad at Rachel who didn't tell him what he was getting into, but when he tries to shut down his console, Zane appears on his screen. He tells Max to keep playing the game or he will not only cause his own death but will also be responsible for Rachel's demise. He also says that all the money has been transferred into Max's account so no one will even believe his story. Max quickly checks his account, which really has all the stolen money, and things get even worse when he sees Zane's men in his yard. He now understands that he doesn't have a choice in any of this, so he sits back down to continue the game. After resuming the game, he receives another video message from Zane who asks him to get to a nearby private school. Max is clearly disturbed by what these guys are making him do, but he is straight up horrified to learn that Zane wants him to protect a shooter from the police while he hurts people inside the school. He's about to give up when Rachel begs him to do it for her sake. Max loves her, so he makes Creed walk into the school where he immediately comes across the shotgun-wielding young man. Creed disarms the guy, but he finds out that the kid is also being blackmailed by Zane's people to commit this horrible crime. So Max lets him go and instead takes down all the officers who are trying to stop this massacre. He then watches in dismay as the young man hurts more and more people. He's completely broken, and so is Creed, but they need to get out, so Max wipes away his tears and makes Creed drive away from the scene. After stopping the car, he gets another video message from Zane, who's having fun making them do this. His smile finally cracks Max, who ends the call and uses the phone to call his own landline. He then shares his plan with Creed. While they're talking, Kincaid is having dinner with Abby, who used to be his girlfriend before she married Creed. He tells her that he's doing all of this to create a better world. Their conversation is cut short when Zane tells him about Max's refusal to follow the instructions. After hearing this, Kincaid ends his lunch and goes to monitor the situation. Meanwhile, Max brings Creed to his house and makes him beat up all of Zane's goons. The men can't shoot him, so one by one, Creed takes down all of them. He then enters the house and sees the guy who's been controlling him. At this point, Max asks Rachel to allow Creed to speak. She doesn't want to do it, but agrees after Max says he won't play if she doesn't follow his orders. Kincaid is observing this whole interaction through the game's POV, and he watches as Creed instructs Max to take out the bugs and cameras hidden inside all the things he received from Sentinel. Max is overwhelmed by what's happening, and he decides to have a beer to calm down his nerves. While sharing the beer with Creed, he asks him how he is involved in all of this. Creed explains that he built the chip which is known as Control X for military personnel so that they can be safer in hostile environments. However, Kincaid has some other plans for this technology, and he wants to push Creed out of the picture. After this, Creed asks him why he even works for Sentinel. This is when Max shares that all his life he's only been good at gaming. He has won numerous tournaments, but over the years he also accumulated a lot of enemies. And 2 years ago he was walking his dog when some people shot at him. He survived the attack, but his dog died, and ever since then he's been unable to leave his home. After telling his story, Max tries to get another beer when he notices that whenever he brings the controller near the chip, it starts to vibrate. Creed asks him to remove it by following his instructions, but Max says he has to do something first. He drags one of Zane's men inside the house and then waits patiently. After a while, Kincaid calls him to say that he's disappointed in him, and he will be punished for being insubordinate. After that, he shows Max live footage of 5 women, and after shooting one of them, he tells Max that if he doesn't find out Rachel in a given time, all 4 women will die. Max has never even met Rachel, so he doesn't know what she looks like, but after noticing the footage carefully, he sees his own picture inside one of the cubicles. He recognizes that girl as Rachel, and after choosing her in the nick of time, he's able to save all of them. After showing him what he can do, Kincaid tells Max to start following orders. As soon as he ends the call, Max receives another call in-game. It's from Abby, who informs Creed that Kincaid wants him to take Angelo's life that evening. As the call ends, Max walks up to Creed, who doesn't have the chip anymore because it's now implanted in the neck of one of the armed men. This is when Creed explains that Angelo owns 51% of the largest servers in the world, while Kincaid only owns 40%. He wants to take out Angelo so that he can buy the rest of the servers and become a god of cyberspace. After hearing this, Max sends the guy to finish off Angelo before asking Creed to go save his wife. Creed gladly takes up the offer and starts driving to the Sentinel office. Meanwhile, Max drives in the game to the hotel where Angelo is having dinner. As soon as Angelo's car gets out of the parking lot, Max starts following him. Kincaid is enjoying the show so much that he's ordering popcorn and drinks. Max, on the other hand, gets a call from Rachel, and he's glad that she's okay. He again puts her on speakerphone before making his character jump into Angelo's car. He gets inside the SUV and takes out the driver before stabbing Angelo's bodyguard. Angelo gets out of the car, but Max catches him in the middle of the road and breaks his neck to finish the mission. Kincaid is watching this spectacle when Zane tells him that Creed is outside their building. Zane then assembles all the guards in the building and tells them to not use weapons against the intruder. Outside, Creed takes a deep breath and makes his way into the enemy's territory. Inside, he finds Zane standing with a small army. Creed says that he just wants to take his wife out of there, but Zane makes it clear that he's not going to cooperate. He punches Creed a couple of times, but pretty soon Creed takes him down. He then proceeds to beat the shit out of all the guards who are attacking him one by one. As he climbs up the stairs, however, some of the guards manage to grab him and beat him up. They're about to finish him off when one of the guards decides to fight Creed fair and square. Creed takes the challenge, but the guard is landing all sorts of punches on him. The tables turn when Creed takes him down and breaks his arm. He then grabs the guy's gun and shoots the rest of the guards. After finishing the job, he's trying to catch his breath, but Zane pounces on him. However, Creed just swats him like a fly and starts climbing the stairs. He comes across 3 more guards who are also eager to fight him, but they are no match for him. He once again sits down to catch his breath when Zane makes a last-ditch effort to stop him. He's trying his best, but Creed keeps knocking him down. Zane used to be like a brother to him, so he doesn't want to hurt him, But when Zane refuses to back down, Creed breaks his neck. After creating a graveyard in his path, he walks into Kincaid's office where he sees a guard holding Abby at gunpoint. Kincaid is in the room and he shows Creed that Max is also at his mercy. He knows that Creed is now powerless, so he explains why he did all of this. He says that after causing so much gun-related violence in a day, the government will pass the bill to ban people from owning firearms. This will allow Kincaid's company to get all these violent people inside his games, and he will use Control X to create a private army that he can use for his own ambitions. While Kincaid is sharing his vision with Creed, Max silently starts playing the game once again. Back in the Sentinel building, Creed finally speaks up and tells Kincaid that he isn't doing this for the world. He caused all of this chaos because he wants to play God. He also wanted to take out Creed, who has stolen the love of his life from him. His words are hurting Kincaid, who's about to snap, but suddenly they notice that Max has brought the guy to his house. He uses the controller to make the guy take out the armed man. While he's doing that, Abby gets herself free from the guard and pushes him over the ledge. Kincaid, on the other hand, starts going after Creed. Creed can take him down easily, but Kincaid grabs a sword and goes onto the balcony. Creed also grabs a sword from the rack and follows him, and they start going after one another. While they're fighting to the death, Max knows he has to help Creed, and since the chip has stopped working, he has to leave his house. So he grabs a gun from one of the knocked out guys and starts driving to the Sentinel headquarters. While he's entering the building, Kincaid manages to slice Creed's leg, which leaves him unable to move. Kincaid is about to finish Creed for good when Max shows up with a gun in his hand. Kincaid looks at the gun, but he's sure that Max won't shoot, so he turns around, and this is when Max shoots him down. As Kincaid bleeds out, Max and Abby help Creed get out of the building. A few weeks later, Max is giving his first interview as the new CEO of Sentinel. The film ends with Creed watching him carefully, as he promises to bring more humanity to the world of gaming. If you enjoyed that recap, I got a good feeling you'll like this one too. Click on the video on your screen for more.